you finished tea because we've come to the grizzly bit. Kids, you might want to make sure your parents are out of the room. It's been said by someone much wiser than I that the world will be a path to your door if you invent a better mousetrap. So what will the world do if you invent a better rat trap? The Rolls Royce of rat traps, in fact.
From one female pregnant rat, in 24 months, you can have 34,000 rats. There's a lot to understand about rats. They're very complicated little people. They're very wily and they're very cunning, and they are survivors.
But not when they meet Margaret and her Tozo trap. Why Tozo?
I had just finished writing a children's book, and one of the rats in the dump was called King Tozo. Would you like to see my rat house? So I decided to call it a Tozo trap. Well, this is Tozo. And the way it works is this. If you'd like a demonstration, I suppose. It's set into the ground about down to here, and there's a water level down to about there, or up to about there, I should say. And the rat goes in the hole here, onto the floor, and because it's quite solid on that side, because it's resting on a stopper, and he trots across the floor here to get the lure, which is hanging from the hook at the back of the lid here. So then the floor tips down, and he drops down into the water. And the floor is out here for cleaning, so it's easy to clean. And when you want to clean it out, you just put the hook down and dredge up the basket, and empty out all the bones and bits and pieces, and just toss it back in again. You just drop this back into its little slots again. It resets itself. Every time the rat goes down, it just automatically resets. It's easy to look after and manage, and we've been putting toast with peanut butter on. We just clip it under the hook there and put it in. The other thing we do catch in them a lot is slugs. They catch a lot of slugs. The slugs come in to eat the bread and things, so it cleans up the garden as well. If you have to leave your trap for a long time, the rats sort of break down and liquefy. After 2 days in water, you can't pick them up by the tail comes off and all the skin sloughs off and they're all starting to disintegrate. And after about 4 or 5 days, all the flesh is all coming away from the bones anyway, and they do liquefy and sort of break down in the water because it turns into a horrible grey soup. But, you know, you can't leave your trap and it still works. Well, this is what the trap looks like in the ground, and the rat just comes in the hole here. And at the moment we have no rats, but we do have 7 slugs. So that's quite a good tally. Find a pair of dead rats in the morning, it gives me a high all day.
Getting the Tozo trap to this satisfying stage hasn't been easy. Margaret's found some people can't accept that a woman can be an inventor.
I rang up a firm in Auckland once. I was trying to source something, and I got put through several people onto this young moron, and he didn't know whether he had what I wanted or not, so he went away and asked someone, and they said, "Who the hell is it?" And he said, "Oh, some bloody Sheila wanting something." You know, that's the sort of thing you had to put up with all the time. They were quite rude, a lot of them.
For Margaret, getting the invention right is what matters. She doesn't see herself manufacturing thousands of rat traps.
I can see that it has got enormous potential, but I don't think I want to develop the business because I'm not a business person. I might even be happy to sell it to someone. You know, it's not me. I'm a writer and an artist and a poet, and it's not really me. I developed it because people asked me to and because there was a sort of a need for it, but I'm not a professional rat trap maker. If getting rid of rodents is good, then clearly making profits out of pests is probably perfect. One pest in particular. I'll give you a clue. You're right. We're talking about possums. The problem is, because possum pelts aren't the money spinner they used to be,
getting people out to trap, poison and shoot them has become a struggle.
Had some of yesterday's. They're a good sized possum, so some cocky will be getting a bit more grass.
Especially since possum fur, blended with merino or lycra, is a growing export earner. It's got John and son Sean back on the job, using this invention, which took a lot of shed time to perfect. What does it do? Watch this. Working with a mate, John sees the plucker as the perfect way to put a dent in the possum population.
In this case, are paying for themselves to be controlled. The government's not having to spend money because people are getting back now and starting to do it. They want the stuff that's 20 millimetres long, and that's ideal stuff for knitting. It takes about half a minute normally to do one, and there's no fur loss. The blades are a little bit long.
Mind you, it hasn't been easy designing a machine that pulls out the fur without pulling the possum apart. It's been a long process of trials and errors. If this, if that, if only.
It's too easy to put an if on things, and I had so much trouble with the small machine that we made, and I'd be coming back every day saying I'd got it, and every time I'd go out I found I didn't. And I can remember going into seeing one of my mates down there, and I said, I'm sick and bloody tired of this thing. And he said, now, John, he said, you're not going to just chuck that in, are you? I said, no, I said, I'm not. So he made me keep going at it.
And just as well he did, because although John's still waiting for patents to be granted, the machine's already started to sell.
I would think there'd be about 160 of ours out there. We've suddenly got engineers all over the country when they see how to do it. But we're just waiting for the patent to come through on ours, and we'll have a few words to these others, I think. Same principle, you see, you can't alter a principle.
Since possums are heavy and hard to carry out of the bush in large numbers, John's also got a portable version.
That's a backpack model. Carries on your back, carries very, very nicely. And so when you get to where you're going, you just hook that, put your net out, start it up, and work the possums off it.
Speaking of portable solutions, here's an open and shut case. It's an invention you can take anywhere, fit onto any gate, and then open and close it by remote control.
I'm trying to produce something for the average farmer with the average type gate, cyclone type gate. They're the common farm gate. And the idea is 2 bolts, and take it off this gate, put it on another gate way out on the back of the field where you've got a contractor working on a hay crop or a silage crop or whatever. It could be left out there for the duration, give the contractor a remote. But when he's finished that job, it's not an important gate that warrants so expensive.
And I imagine you're going to improve it even more. I think you were saying you're going to put the wheel inside the unit.
Yes.
Constant drive for simplicity.
Yes.
And it's solar.
Yes, solar.
Can I have a play?
Yes.
Oh, look at that. Stop.
I don't think it matters, Jim, what it is you design. For every successful one that goes out the door, there's usually 10 round behind the door that never worked.
You don't tell anyone about.
Originally, I thought one of those driving wheel.
Yes.
Had it sitting up that way with that hooked up to a 12 volt
basically
battery.
that becomes an axle.
Yes.
Okay.
And we worked it on a little 5-foot gate, and on the concrete floor it seemed to be great, but of course it didn't have enough power. And we went from there to slightly bigger motors.
Right.
To where we're actually using a truck windscreen wiper motor now, and running to 24 volts.
Okay.
There's a lot
and
more torque.
Over here, is this the sort of inventor's graveyard, is it?
It is, very much so, Jim. It's quite laughable. It's some of the ideas that I had. Build a temporary little unit.
I recognise that.
Just to find it not working. Yes, that was, I was really enthusiastic about that, because that was going to work the latch. The torque of the motor was working the latch.
That was one we had in the book, I think, wasn't it?
I think it was, yes.
Murray's best known for another invention, the internationally successful Prattley portable yards. He sold that business now and has time to tinker. But why go on inventing?
It's just something to do. I've got several other ideas that I think could be made to work, but I've got a bit older now and lost the will to do it. Of course, poverty drives you to it to a certain amount.
After the break, using your head to stay safe. And we take to the skies.
This is the ancient dream of mankind, the magic carpet.